The phone rings, already know who's calling, but every time it's after 2. It ain't you, but the champagne talking, saying, baby, when you coming through. You like to call me when you're high, end of the party, I'm your guy. Thing is, I do this every night, and I don't wanna come off impatient, but you only call when you're wasted. You only call when you're wasted. You only call when you're wasted. I wait for the day you tell me you'll see me in the afternoon. Don't get me wrong, I love our late night evenings, but that ain't all I want from you. You like to call me when you're high, end of the party, I'm your guy. Thing is, I do this every night, and I don't wanna come off impatient, but you only call when you're wasted. You only call when you're wasted. You only call when you're You only call when you're wasted. You only call when you're wasted. You like to call me when you're high, and baby, trust me, that's alright, 'cause I will answer every time. But we should be taking these places, and you only call when you're I don't wanna come off impatient, but you only call when you're
Yes. Josh, you ready? Welcome. I'll let you know this is going to drive me crazy because they've locked me in place and I'm one that has to walk and I can't do that, so I apologize. I apologize ahead of time. All right, well, welcome to our orientation of the high school. I cannot believe it is already that time of year. You know, and some people ask me, well, why do we do this so quickly, so early in the year? And what we do is your classes that you sign up for is how we develop the entire schedule, and that's how we hire staff and that sort of thing. So we've got to get this done. We shoot for about spring break, and that's for all 9th through 12th graders, or going to be 9th through 12th graders. So that's kind of the reason we do it so early. We're going to throw a lot of information at you today, but it will be on a link on the website, so you can go back anytime. And if you have any questions for any of the administration or any of the counselors, feel free to reach out to us as well. You're going to see some things that we're doing that I'm extremely passionate about that's going to provide some great opportunities for your kids. And with further ado, we'll get started on that. All right, this is our administrative team. We're going to actually introduce our counseling team a little bit later. Right now, we have 3 principals and activities director who's also a principal. But most people know Mr. Schroeder just because he's at all the different events. You've probably met him before. He is at every night event, so I told him to stay home. I almost had to, I actually told his wife to keep him home, but we'll see. He still sneaks up usually, but we'll talk a little bit about his, and he did create a video that is still, you get to see him speak in person, but not here today. You can just click on that link. All right, here's our agenda for the day. As you can see, it's kind of jam-packed with information. We're going to get in detail with some of these things, but we'll focus on certain ones a little bit more. But again, feel free at the end. You can ask more questions. We'll have a question and answer at the end for you as well. And of course, we're live streaming it now. I guess I should have welcomed the live stream people. I'm not used to being on TV, I guess. All right, our vision is to ensure that all students are college, well, I should say it this way, all students are career and college ready. When I used to say college and career ready, people would shut down with college, and we know that there are great occupations out there that don't necessarily need a 4-year university education. There's some great opportunities, whether it's a welding certificate or an apprenticeship with Deere. We've got some great opportunities that way. So that's why I've tried to flip that word a little bit to be career and college ready, because we want every kid to be there. And of course, we do it through a collaborative culture of PLC, team, instructional coaches, MTSS process, and that as well. Now, how do we measure that success? This has changed. We used to measure it with just graduation rate, and our graduation rate was always between 94, our 4-year graduation rate was always between 93 and 96. Our 5-year graduation rate was always between 95 and 97, and even though we want that to be 100%, that wasn't the end goal, right? The end goal wasn't just to get a high school diploma, and we've changed that now. We want some sort of certification within 6 years of graduation. So that, again, that could be a welding certificate, that could be an apprenticeship, that could be military. Currently, we have trouble tracking the military because there's not a connection yet, but they're working on that. But those are the types of things that we're looking for success. This also matches then the Future Ready Iowa, the governor's initiative, which is to have 70% of all adults to have some sort of certification within 6 years, and that's in the year 2025. So we're right on board with that to help Iowans meet that goal as well. All right, why post-secondary transition? Why do we focus on that? And so this is going to be hard when it's back here, so I apologize. I made transitions thinking that would be really cool, but thinking I could walk around and be clicking, and now I'm like, all right, which one came up? So you can see 2014, this is the first year that we've been able to track back to. And this data collection agency, that's the first year they have. So we started there. And as you can see, our data is not where we want it to be. And this matches really the statewide data. We have 60% of our students that said they were going to go to further their education, and only 45 of them actually got their certification within 6 years. That's not nearly good enough, right? And we're shooting for 100% now. So that's our kind of baseline goal, and we'll show you how we think we can get there and why we think we didn't get there to begin with. Back then, we didn't have all the concurrent opportunities, and we didn't have the career pathways that we have now. Currently, 86% of our seniors usually say they're going to further their education. And that, in the last 4 years, that's fluctuated between 84 and 90. And we do include military in there as well, where the state doesn't. So there's a little bit of conflict with our state data on that. But we know that military is a good opportunity for furthering your education as well. This is a problem. We call this the summer drip. So although 86% of our seniors say they're going to go on, only 71.9% over the last 4 years have gone on to start their furthering their education. Now, we have that 15% that we have to figure out why. We have to do a better job of figuring out why are they not getting there. What we know statistically is if we help kids or families get the FAFSA completed, they're more likely to go on to further their education. I know there's families, myself was one included until my wife was like, no, we've got to do this, that I was thinking, oh, well, we're not going to get any aid anyway. Well, you could be incorrect on that. My daughter got some scholarships that I didn't even know were out there because we filled out the FAFSA, but it's important to fill out the FAFSA, just one example. But we need to create pathways to help kids know that, okay, I have an interest in welding. Let's show them how to get there, and we can actually get our welding certificate, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, done by your junior year, and then you can have an apprenticeship with Deere or Eckhart, currently is who we're working with. Concurrent enrollment and pathways. Well, I guess I can leave the pictures. This is just a few pictures of our different pathways. We have our I guess, automotive over there. We've got our CNA in the middle. We've got our welding apprenticeship signing down below. And then we have another picture of our CNA. That mannequin in the middle, actually the military, that thing's worth $100,000. I didn't know they could even make something like that. $100,000, it bleeds. It was just different things that it could do that was kind of amazing, actually. But just different opportunities that way. And then we also have, we're starting to have our kids do more with video production, which was what that picture on the left was. All right, here is some 2021 data that's pretty amazing. We had 95.2% of our our graduates had a concurrent enrollment, a college credit opportunity. Now that could be anywhere from a college welding to Comp 105. You know, so it was a wide variety. Then we had, of that 95.2, they averaged 20 college credits, which is pretty amazing. So average 20. So of course that means you have some that have 10 and you have some that have 30, but that's a pretty neat statistic. And then our graduates left with that total, 4,300. I guess the math guy in me wants to say that 0.5 as well, but the counselors always get mad at me for that. And we ranked first in the Quad Cities in concurrent enrollment. We're actually top 8 in the state, no matter the size. That includes Des Moines, and they lumped them together. Davenport, they lumped them together. And then the savings you see, and then 6 grads left already before graduating with an AA or a certificate, which is pretty cool as well. All right, total cost savings. What does this mean? What does this mean to you? You know, I hear kids all the time tell me, well, I'm not getting paid to be here at school. Well, here I would argue this point. Community college, if you average 20 credits, so we're just going by the average student, that means you're saving $3,900 at a community college level. That doesn't include textbooks, so you're saving there as well. 4-year university, like in Iowa, Iowa State, UNI, $7,720. And then a private college, $15,800 on average. So really, there's some pretty significant savings possibilities to students and, of course, to parents. Now, the neat thing about this is not all of our kids are going to still, you know, complete. Let's say they get an AA or associate's degree completed. They may not be done in 4 years. They may decide to start their master's and then be done with that in 4 years. They may decide to double major, you know, throw in another minor. So it just provides more opportunities to make them more marketable. Our current pathways. When you get this sent to you, and it's on the website as well, those links at the top are live. So you click on those, they'll kind of share the pathway opportunities with you. And then these bottom ones are the ones coming soon. With our new tech facility that we're going to be building in the next few years, which you guys will be able to take advantage of, that's of course going to include ag, but we're looking at our construction being out there as well. We were looking at doing some remodeling in this brown building by the high school, but the cost of what we wanted to do was too much to remodel it. We thought it was cheaper to actually go out and build new. We're pretty excited about that as well. There'll be some culinary in there, and then of course diesel from Eastern Iowa. This is an example of what an Associate of Arts pathway looks like. These are opportunities. Now again, you don't have to get completely done, but here's the really neat thing about Eastern Iowa Community College. If you get at least 16 credit hours and you have a 3.5 GPA on that, you can get your next year at half price. So not only can you get a year done, you can get the next year at half price, which is pretty amazing. So there's some great opportunities that way. But we were really focused when we created this. We have 42, which Dan will talk about this a little bit later, so I won't hit this hard right now. But we have a number of college opportunities that are taught by our staff here. So you don't have to go out to Eastern Iowa's campus. Now, with that being said, here's the difference, and here's why I think it's important. CNA, we used to have 2 kids that would take CNA on the Scott campus. We now have it here. We got a grant. We have a teacher that teaches it here. We now have 40. So we have 40 kids taking CNA, which then leads into either the nursing pathway, medical assistant, that sort of thing. But we have been really focused. These core classes that you see here, Comp 105, Comp 106, Lit, public speaking, those transfer anywhere. Doesn't matter if you're going to Notre Dame, the University of Iowa, Coe College, those transfer anywhere. So it will help you with that scenario. And we actually have an Eastern Iowa counselor that comes here and works with us as well to answer any questions that we have. Comes on Monday and Friday. And we wrote a grant for another transition counselor who would then follow you to Eastern Iowa. We'll see if we get it. We were supposed to know this last week, so it's really driving me crazy. I want to know if we got that. And then there's also a link then here that you can click on that has all the different possibilities, all 42 college possibilities. And then this is an example of our welding certificate. We are actually in talks with our regional planning partnership. This is going to change a little bit, but this is just an example. The green are the classes that are taught here on our campus. The orange are the ones that you go and finish off at the Belong Center from 1 to 3 o'clock, or 1:30 to 3 o'clock, Monday through Thursday, if you decide to go that pathway. And that you can get that done your junior year, and then you can get an apprenticeship with Deere or Eckhart, where you then go work for them full-time in the summer, come back and work half your day your senior year, and get paid by them, which is pretty awesome. And then after that, you're hired with insurance and benefits. This is an example of our nursing pathway. The first couple classes are recommended classes, high school classes here. They're not required, but they're a recommendation to make sure that you really want to go into that pathway. And then as you can see, the only one that we don't offer here is the green one here. That's microbiology, and you would take that as a CCIR your senior if you so choose, or you can go to Scott and take it at that time too. But the neat thing is, this year, we didn't have nutrition, and the year before that, we didn't have developmental psych, so we tend to add one. So who knows, by the time you guys are seniors, maybe we'll have microbiology here as well. And the neat thing is, if you complete these, you go to St. Ambrose, you only have 2 years left for your 4-year degree. So that's kind of cool. Or Mount Mercy, or wherever you decide to go, or Co. I had to throw Co in there for you, Tracy. You're welcome. All right, course requirement, or request. It's really important, this is where I need to walk around. It's really important for you to take these seriously, because whatever you decide, you talk about with your family, you talk about with your counselor, your teachers at the elementary, junior high, whatever you decide and you sign up for is how we're going to build the schedule. So it's extremely important that you're taking these seriously, because you're not going to be able to just come in the first week of class and go, I want to change from this class to this class. Because, for example, if let's say we had Spanish, and there was 32 kids that signed up for Spanish 1. It's a bad example because there'll be a lot more than that, but 32 kids. We're going to make 2 sections because we don't want to go over 30. So we're going to make 2 sections for that. Now we have 3 kids come in that first week of school and say, oh, I don't want to take Spanish anymore. Well, if we take those 3 out, now we only have 29, and we could have used that teacher to teach another class, if that makes sense. And we can't make that switch at that time. So it's really important, whatever you're signing up for, that you take it seriously. Now, there are some things that we will make changes for, and as you can see, they're listed here. If let's say you're in algebra now, and you were going to go into geometry, and you failed, your last semester junior high, and you want to retake that, we're going to make that change. There's sometimes you might not sign up. You have a graduation requirement. You need to get government, and you didn't put a government in, and then we notice that first week of school. We're going to add that government in, and those sorts of things. But there's really only these criteria that we're looking at to make a change. If something comes up, let us know. Always talk to us. We've had students that sometimes there's a medical issue. They're in the hospital, at University of Hospitals for a few weeks, and they just can't get, we'll make a change in those cases, but just talk to us about it. Man, you're slacking, Dan. You didn't know that was coming? I'm just kidding. Hey, I promised we'd be done by 2 o'clock. If we're not done or 3 o'clock, sorry, 3 o'clock.
Hi there. My name's Dan Marceau, one of the associate principals here. Obviously, Mr. Kanucky's passion are those pathways in preparing you guys for career and college readiness. So we start this presentation kind of with that end goal in mind. So this slide is kind of wrapping up what we do here at North Scott to prepare all of these students for their post-high school career, whatever that may include. So we have a consistent and viable curriculum, no matter what class or what teacher you have for a class, or when you take it within your 4 years here, you're guaranteed to be taught the same items across the board. We have the collaborative culture that we have here. We have teachers that work together to guarantee that everything that we work on is consistent across the board. Our multi-tiered system of supports, that's what's in place to make sure that any kids that are struggling whether it be social, emotional, it's attendance, it's personal, it's academic, that we get them the resources they need so that everyone here can be successful at the high school. As Mr. Kanucky touched on earlier, we do have 43 classes in this building that are taught by our staff that count for college credit, as well as 6 AP courses here. So we do have a wide variety of classes across the board to offer students here opportunities. This link reflects the AA degree tracker that we discussed earlier, and Mr. Kanucky's favorite word, pathways, and the apprenticeships that we offer as well. And then it all boils down to relationships. We want every student that walks through these doors to feel welcome and appreciated and valued here. So that's kind of the foundation for all of these other academic things that we have here. So that's kind of a summary of what we really do here to prepare students for after high school. This page, we actually went back and forth a lot on how much to include on this page. This is our current form of communication. We have a link here to our school website communication page, as well as some information on our school app, PowerSchool and Canvas. Some of those things will be changing between now and the start of next year. We are actually moving from PowerSchool to a different student information system. And then we also are looking at getting an updated app as well that will actually sync between those two. We're excited about those opportunities. I don't have a lot of end user information to share with you guys right now, but you will see communication through the junior high, the high school, and Mr. Studding's biweekly message that will share some of those changes moving forward. So any subscriptions that you want to have here, this is our most current information for communication, but a lot of that will be changing over the next 6 to 8 months, so do be aware of that. We did actually ask a lot of our freshman teachers to present videos so that they didn't all have to come here today and share their little spiel. So when this is posted on the website, there's a link to a Google Drive folder here that has videos either from individual teachers or whole departments, just kind of giving you a brief overview of classes. We recommend that students watch those before the counselors come to register them for classes, so that if there is something that they're curious about or want to know more about, they can get that information from those videos there. The Lancer Way, which I believe all of you are familiar with from the junior high, we have the same 4 criteria here. Be here, be involved, be respectful, be excellent. Those 4 as an acronym are HIRE, because our goal is that if you do those things, you will be hired to have a job outside of North Scott. So you can see our criteria here. It's very similar to the junior high. There are a few minor changes, but these are our student expectations each and every day here at the high school. So if you do these things to the best of your ability, we have no doubt that you will all be successful within this building here. So I don't need to spend time going over each and every one of those bullet points because most students are familiar with that, but you can find that information in the presentation once we post that to the website. Our daily schedule, this is often a question that freshmen have. This is what your daily schedule looks like. One thing that is different between the high school and the junior high is currently at the junior high, you have, I believe, 8 classes each day, okay? And I think they're like 43 minutes. I'm seeing some nods here. At the high school, you've got 4 blocks each day that rotate on an A-B schedule, and they're 80 minutes each. So our first period, which for freshmen, you either have the opportunity to take band or orchestra, or you will be in a freshman transition class that will teach you some social emotional skills, some study habits, some career pathway type things. That does meet every day for the first 45 minutes of the day, and then you'll see we rotate through A2, 3, 4, and 5, and then on opposite days, B2, 3, 4, and 5. So it does give you a little bit more time with each course, and then it gives you basically a 48-hour window to work on anything in between having that class again. Every freshman's favorite question is, when do I have lunch? That is dependent on what teacher you have during that 4th block here. So right now, I can't tell you what lunch you have. It'll all depend on what class ends up in your A4 and B4 schedule. And then we do have a 6th period at the end of the day, very similar to Boost at the junior high, where teachers can request students to come in for additional help, or students can voluntarily attend that period if they know they have a quiz coming up or something they need to work on with that teacher. Freshmen that are not assigned or do not voluntarily attend a sixth period are required to be in the building for a study hall. It's an open study hall. It's time for them to work with, they can work in groups if they want to on something, they can work on their own, but every freshman is required to be here from that 7:45 first period until 3:15. I think this is my last slide. Certificate of dental screening. There are some dental screening forms required by the state before the first day of school for next year. These links are really hard to see on this presentation, as Josh pointed out earlier. But if you go to these forms here, when this is posted on the website, you will need to fill that out. You can turn it into the junior high nurse yet this year, or send it to the high school nurse before the first day of school next year. Is that you? You want me to stand up there so they can see the difference?
Well, good afternoon. My name is Mr. Aaron Schwartz. I am an associate principal here at the high school. And I'll start today for the 8th graders in the house here. Show of hands. You guys coming to orientation. How many thought you'd be talking about college classes? Nobody? Okay. So probably a lot of wide eyes from students and from parents. And so a big thing we probably ask, especially you as parents, is what can I do? Okay? What role should I take? And I think about this from my own standpoint as I have a son who's going to be transitioning from elementary to junior high next year, and how my role is going to change. And I'm going to challenge you guys to kind of think about it the same way. What can we do? So role number one, as Mr. Marceau said, get those dental forms in. That's we'll leave that up to the parents. Going forward, though, obviously, again, like I said, I also have a younger daughter who's going to be starting elementary school next year. And I think about how I'm going to differently handle those. And as an elementary school student, when my son started elementary school, you go in there, you charge in ahead of him, and I'm gonna do everything for my little one. Okay? You get to junior high, again, how does that change? You get to high school. And obviously, we're preparing these kids. We're talking about college classes. Okay? Preparing them for their future, jobs, internships, college, those next steps, and really teaching them to advocate for themselves. Okay? Obviously, parents, we want you to have an active role, but we really want to help you, or to have you help your children advocate for themselves, so they're prepared for that next step. Okay? So just a couple suggestions up here for you. You know, every day, have conversations with your children. Hey, what'd you do in school today? What was difficult? What was easy? What did you have to get help with? How did you do that? Okay? Encourage them, help them find those answers so that, again, when they're in our building, they can advocate for those needs. As Mr. Konecki and Mr. Marceau mentioned, we have a lot of wonderful, wonderful staff in this building. Okay? They are here for your children, to help your children. And again, it's all about relationships. And again, I would stand behind all of my staff when I say that they're going to do what is best for your child. Okay? Again, with the things we have available, communicate high expectations. Your student can walk out of North Scott High School prepared beyond that high school level, prepared for that next step, and even be already started on their goal post-secondary. Okay? We also offer a couple options for you guys to get in with parent community. Obviously, our parent-teacher conferences, boosters organizations, volunteering. Again, be involved, be in the picture, encourage your children to advocate for themselves. Obviously, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, to our staff, teachers. Ask those questions, get the help that you need. We try here, obviously, to communicate, and a lot of that is electronically. So I will encourage you, when you do register your child, make sure you have accurate cell phone numbers for texts, emails for notifications. Obviously, our new system, Mr. Marceau mentioned, will be Infinite Campus, where you will get grades, attendance. We have Canvas, which also shows grades and assignments. Use those to help keep track of your kids, help encourage them, again, to stay caught up and stay on the right path. Obviously, we already hit on encouraging your children not to make course selections based on what their friends are taking or how this will affect their GPA, because again, here at North Scott High School, your student has a unique opportunity to go above and beyond and prepare for whatever it is they want to do with their life. We're not saying as an 8th grader you know what that is yet, but we offer multiple opportunities that you can learn what it is that you love to do. You can pursue that, and again, be prepared. Probably the most important thing that I'm going to encourage you to come alongside your children with is when we talk about safety here at North Scott High School. Safety is something that I take very personally. As the head of the district safety committee, and may sound strange to say it as an educator, but my number one priority every single day is that your student is safe in our building. And I mean safe from threats, safe from harm, safe from bullying. Again, they feel comfortable, welcome here, and that they return home to you each and every night. To that effect, I do want to highlight a couple things that change a little bit when they come to the high school in an effort to open a conversation with you, the parents, that you can have that conversation with your kids. I believe everyone in here should be familiar with the principles of ALICE, alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. And again, when you come to the high school, when we train as realistically as possible, okay? And while today is not a day to talk about why we do that, to debate it, again, our goal is to do what is best for your students and prepare them for anything that could potentially happen. So the things I want to hit on is the informed fire drill. This is something we started a few years ago. They do it at the junior high now as well, so students, you should be familiar with this. But given what we know on school fires, we haven't lost a single student life in a school fire in over 50 years. We're going to leverage that to our advantage. And mom and dad, like me, when we grew up, fire alarm went off, we blindly marched out of the building. No questions asked, right? We don't do that anymore, okay? An informed fire drill, we're going to be prepared to respond. We have our staff trained to make decisions for each classroom, but we're going to obtain more information before we make that final decision on what we're going to do, okay? Obviously, we will train with that students each year, 4 times a year, like you do at the junior high, so that we are familiar with that. Also, 1 drill per quarter, we do ALICE drills along with the fire drills. And again, I want to share for your information so that if you have questions, you can reach out and contact me, because our ALICE drills are probably the most different from the junior high. The 2 things I want to highlight is, again, we try to make them realistic. And like I said, if you have questions on why we do that, feel free to reach out to me. So we use blank rounds, a starter pistol, to simulate an active assailant. We also use windows of time. So instead of saying, hey, the drill's going to happen at 2:30 on Thursday afternoon, we give kids windows of time. Forces them and their teachers to make a plan. So again, these are much more realistic than probably what you've experienced in the past. I understand that that can bring some anxiety and some concerns, and again, I want to be open and upfront about that. So again, you guys can reach out and ask questions that you have on those to me. You have my contact information up here. Again, email is there, hard to see on this presentation, but when you get it electronically, it is there. Just click on that, send me an email, or my phone number is there as well. I will turn it over to our wonderful counseling team.
Thank you for that, Dan. Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Nahy, and I'm one of the counselors here at the high school, and I just wanted to introduce the rest of the counseling staff. We have Miss Anastasia Nikolopoulos. She has the beginning section of the alphabet, so all students that are last names beginning A through G, she takes care of those students. And then Miss Peckenschneider, she has the middle of the alphabet, students with the last names beginning H through N. And then finally myself, Tracy Denahy, I have the end of the alphabet, O through Z. And we cannot forget Lincoln. He is our school therapy dog. He's not with us today, but you can see him in the picture there. And he has students with the last names A through Z. So to piggyback on some of the things that has been said so far, when we're talking about registering for ninth grade, you probably didn't think that there would be a lot of conversations about what would be occurring in eighth grade. Or occurring in high school beyond just registering for ninth grade. So we have a lot of college class opportunities, but those classes get more abundant as we go from freshman year through senior year. So Jill's going to start us out with talking about our graduation requirements.
Okay, so each student before they graduate from North Scott High School has to complete successfully 54 credits. And how they receive those credits is by passing a class each semester. So each course they pass, those block courses that Mr. Marceau was talking about, they receive 1 credit. So at the end of their freshman year, they'll have 1 credit for English 9 from first semester and an English credit from second semester. So each class receives 1 credit. And in order to pass those classes, they need to have a minimum of a D-, which is 60%. There are very few courses throughout the 4 years, but there are a few that are pass-fail courses. And if your student has one of those, they will need to get 70% or greater in order to pass that course. So the ninth grade requirements. So every 8th grader that's walking into our door next year as a 9th grader will take these courses at North Scott High School. So English, there is regular English 1 and then an honors option. I don't believe you guys have received information on the honors English quite yet, but very shortly you'll have an application if your student's interested in taking the honors English. Math, you'll receive a math recommendation from your 8th grade teacher, but there are a few level options for your math level. In science, students take biology or agricultural biology. And then social studies, every 9th grade student takes a whole year of United States history. And then your student will have health 1 semester and PE strength training 9 the opposite semester. And you don't really get to pick what semester they have health and what semester they have PE. It's computer generated, and based off of that, we just split the 9th graders throughout the year. So those are the requirements. And then they have the opportunity to explore what pathway they might be interested in and dive into some electives. So these are the courses that your 8th grader will have the opportunity to choose from and explore while at the high school. So all of those listed up there are offered to 9th graders. I'm not the expert on each individual one, and I'm not going to read them all off to you, but your student will hear much more information on those when we present at the junior high, and there is literature and a lot of information and videos from the teachers on the website as well. So there's opportunities in ag science, art, business, family and consumer science, maybe, and then additional options in health, industrial tech, music, and the world language offered at the high school is Spanish.
So on January 24th, we will be going to the junior high, all 3 of us, and we will be presenting in the math classes. And we will have a presentation to all the 8th graders, and we will go through all of the electives and talk to them a little bit. We'll talk about the electives, but we'll talk a little bit about kind of what life is like at the high school. We'll give them an opportunity to ask all sorts of questions. We'll also give them the freshman transition guide, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the things we talked about today, but go over some of those kind of things that they're going to want to learn about when choosing classes. So they will also receive their registration sheets. On their registration sheets, their math will be on there. Freshman year is not so prescriptive as much as they get older, so they get to choose their electives, but all 9th graders, like Ms. Peckenschneider just said, take U.S. history, health, PE, but their math class will already be chosen for them. So ideally, when your student comes home that evening, and then until we come back, it would be great if you could go through that freshman transition guide with them and look through some of those classes and look through some of those electives. This is what the sheet will look like. Ideally, it would be, what you'll see is we will go through and talk to your student about the electives and talk to them about how to fill them out, what a semester-long elective looks like, what a year-long elective look like, and then they will take these home, and then when they bring them back, we'll go back into the classrooms February 11th. We'll be back in the classrooms February 11th, and we'll help them register. So there will be English applications coming to the students. Their English teachers will be sharing that information with the 8th graders here in the next few weeks. Is this you?
So when we come on January 24th, there's two really important things that your students will be receiving when we visit with them in math classes. One of those is going to be what we call our freshman transition guide, and then the other that has course descriptions in it, and then the other is that registration sheet that Ms. Nicolopoulos was just talking about. So the freshman transition guide has a lot of information in there, some of which can be overwhelming, and some of it which maybe will be information that's more useful as they go a little bit further down the line in 9th, 10th, 11th grade. But it has lots of information about like college graduation requirements, or not college graduation, high school graduation requirements in addition to college information. It has the credit information in there as well as the course options that we have, the pathways that Mr. Kanucky talked about, and other useful information just such as helpful phone numbers, website addresses, and questions that you might have as you're coming up into the high school. So these course descriptions are available on the website. They're not 100% up to date yet. We're still fine-tuning things a little bit here, but come January 24th, they should be updated as far as what course options and descriptions are going to look like. So in the freshman transition guide, you will see course sequence flowchart. So this is just to kind of lay out, if you take a specific class your freshman year, what course options do you have in the years to come, and it kind of just shows you how it all flows together. So this is an example of our social studies flowchart, and it shows you there, like in 9th grade, the option is United States history, but as you see, 10th grade, there's a lot more options there, including AP, then junior and senior year. They have the option for a lot more college classes in that area, as well as the requirement of government. So the final steps of registration will be after you get your registration sheets and you have the opportunity to look over those course options. The final step will be completing that sheet, bringing it into your science class, and on February 11th, then we'll help students input those course requests into PowerSchool. So some of you, this may be your first student that's coming up to the high school, and so a lot of questions you might have, a lot of this is brand new. Some of you, maybe this is your third or fourth, or maybe even after that, and you might not have as many questions, but the counselors, we're all here to answer any of the questions that you might have. We're available to have appointments with you and answer questions more specifically after you get all that information. Just feel free to contact us with any questions that you have. I also want to mention students with IEPs. Mrs. Seals and Ms. Calloway work really closely together to help transition from 8th grade to 9th grade, and we'll have a transition IEP in the spring to make sure that your needs are being met and the course options are presented to you in a way that makes sense. Oops. And finally, a lot of students that are in 8th grade probably haven't had the opportunity to walk through the halls of the high school. Maybe you've, outside of being here in the auditorium, maybe you've gone and visited the pit. or maybe you have had the chance to come in and go to a meeting in the cafeteria. But one thing that we find to be super important is that you get here to the high school and you have a chance to walk through the high school prior to the beginning of the school year next year. So we will hopefully be able to have what we call Step Up Day in late May, which gives all the 8th graders the opportunity to come here, walk through the hallways, get familiar with where classes are, have lunch here, because we know that that a lot of times is a big question, because our lunch options and the way our lunchroom works is quite different than the junior high. So it gives them an opportunity to come and get to answer questions that they may have about specific things here at the high school. As I mentioned, feel free to contact the counselors with any questions that you might have. Our contact information is here, so you can access it after our presentation. And now I will pass it along to Mr. Konecki, who's going to pass it on to Mr. Schroeder.
Mr. Schroeder tried to text us and say, "Where are you at? Can I come up?" And we said no, so. All right, Mr. Schroeder is our activities director. When you get home, you can click on this, and he does have a video here, but the high school activities is really what I want to focus on here a bit. We have a lot of different activities, from Fellowship of Christian Athletes to robotics to, pretty much whatever you would like. But if there's something that we don't have and you have a real passion for it, let us know. We just have to find a teacher that will be the person, the chaperone or whatever in that class. So an example might be, esports. We don't have esports, but if there was a group that, hey, we want to do esports, we'd figure out a way to do it. So just because we don't have one listed, don't give up like that's the end of it. Come talk to us and we'll try to figure something out. We might have to have you help us recruit a staff member, but we'll figure it out together. It almost started playing the video, sorry. Practice times, as you can see, they're at varying times, but the one thing I'll say that I'm very happy with, our lab, our community, helped us to get the Lancer Athletic Building, the lab back by the softball field. We call it the lab, sorry. And that is quite an amazing facility. And people ask me what's the most important part of that lab for me. Well, of course, it's, the strength training part, because we're looking at trying to make kids, injury prevention is what we're all about. That's how we can compete. Being one of the smallest 4A schools, that's how we compete at all levels. And, Mr. Stewart, Ms. Hammond, and Mr. Kelly do a phenomenal job there. But the part that was the most important for me was actually the gym side. The gym side, because now our kids can get home to eat supper with their families, where before we used to have to double up practices, and now we don't have to do that. So that's one of the most important things. So for the most part, your practices will be after school. There might be some in the morning, but most of the time it's after school. As you can see, you'll get some different things. Summer camp flyers. Sounds weird that that's going to be coming out fairly soon. It's winter, and we're going to start talking about summer camps, but those will come out. And then if you go to this Mississippi Valley link, it has all the rosters and schedules and that sort of thing. And you can. The neat thing about that is you can just determine which ones you want to look at. Like if your son or daughter is out for tennis and that's all you want, you can click on that. If they're out for multiple, you can click as many as you'd like. All right, these are the things that need to be done before you can participate. But as you can see, a lot of them happen kind of in the summer months. Concussions are one of the big things. This is something that I think is an awesome change from years ago, not even that long ago. But you have to have a concussion baseline test in order to participate in athletics. I think you had one in 8th grade this year as well. And the neat thing about that is then if you're injured with you hit your head, you're not going to be allowed to come back until you're back to your baseline. Which, think about dads, think about what it was like for us. We didn't have that back in the day, right? My wife says that's probably what's wrong with me now, but I don't know. All right, strength and conditioning. This is, like I said, this is one of the most important things we do. If you're an athlete, it's really important for you to be doing strength training. We highly recommend that you do. Currently, how we have it set up, we're looking at possibly changing it a little bit, but currently how we have it set up is one one time you'll be in, one semester you'll be early bird, the other semester you'll be in the school day. But the importance of it is not just because of your team, your coach wanting you to, but it's more for injury prevention. We want you to not get injured, and a way to do that is to go through strength training year-round. Now, that being said, I also know that sometimes early bird it's tough, right? Because our students, our freshmen especially, that gets on the parents, and the parents having to drop them off in the morning when it's early bird. So I know that becomes a struggle, but we do appreciate you when you can. Again, it's recommended in the morning. It's not required in that morning session. This is another important thing. This happened 3 years ago. We had some soccer players from across the MAC conference that went and they had a club team and they scrimmaged against a JV college team. That's illegal. So they had to actually sit out some games. We were lucky. We thought they were going to actually make them not be able to participate ever in that sport. They just they suspended them, and it was athletes from all across the Quad City area. So just as a parent, if you have kids that are on AAU teams, or if you're a track person and you're going down to Kansas City to run, make sure there's not college athletes that you're participating against. We just don't want to get into a spot where it gets you and your child in trouble. Driver's education. This always comes up, so we put it in here. I know that many of you will be looking at doing this over the summer. Here is a link to the AAA site. There are some private ones, and I know there's some ways now for parents to do that. I apologize not knowing all of the logistics with parents being able to do it, but here is a link to the AAA one. If you have any questions, please contact the AAA. Sometimes they'll reach out to our counselors, and it's through us, but it's not through us. It's really just a pass-through link to the AAA. So there it is if you need it as well. But I do want to talk a little bit about the driver's permit, and the criteria are up here. But it's extremely important that if you are able to get one of these, you live over a mile away and you're able to get one of these, then you treat it, follow all the rules, because you don't want to lose your permit. We don't have that happen very often, but we do sometimes. And if you lose your permit, that puts a lot more pressure on your parents, again, to get you here. But it also means you may not get your license until much older than you would have otherwise. And what that means as well is if you're driving off your route and you get in an accident off your route, your insurance company may not cover that accident. So make sure that you're staying on your route and then following the rules with that. If you have any more questions, actually when you click the link to sign up for one of these, it makes you read through all the criteria, and then you and your child should read through that thoroughly. You can always ask us for more questions. As soon as you fill out that form, once you get here anyway, as a 9th grader, that form goes directly to Mr. Schroeder. He signs it, and that's ready for you to pick up. We used to have in-person meetings. That is one of the good things that I guess happened through COVID, is that we have this form that makes you read through it, and it counts as your communication, your meeting with us. So the most direct route again. All right. It is 2:52. Mr. Marceau owes me lunch, I think. And so we did complete it in less than an hour. This is a time for some question and answer. If you'd like, we'll be down here. You can come individually to talk with us. We'll stay around for as long as you need. Otherwise, feel free to reach out, call, or email us at any time. And actually, I'm going to give you guys my cell phone. Are you ready? Now, kids, don't listen to this, okay? No. Parents, they get mad at me for doing this, but I'm going to do this anyway. All right, my cell phone is 563 370 4030. Oh, sorry. You turned off your cell phones. You guys, good job. Thank you. All right, 563 370 4032. And that's my cell. It's better than playing phone tag with me. Just shoot me a text with your name in it so I know it's you, so I know you're not my extended warranty ending. So, but shoot me text or call me anytime with questions. Yep, we'll put this on the website, and we'll actually send the link to it to you as well. Yep. All right, well, thank you.
It turns out that cheaters get cheated on too. 'Cause he cheated on you. So what does it feel like? What does it feel like when your lover finds another and it breaks your heart? What does it feel like? What does it feel like when your lover's undercovers in somebody's arms? Cora, coming at ya. Cora, and knocks you out. What does it feel like? What does it feel like when your lover finds another and it breaks your heart? Like a boomerang, coming back around, it hits you.